Shut up and sit down.
Welcome in, everybody. We are live today. Live here at Nebraska Brick Days, here just outside of Omaha, Nebraska, right across the river here in Council Bluffs. So today, you guys know this was a massive show in the making, a massive undertaking. This was something that was going to take a lot of time, and Nate and his group have put on a massive, huge presence of a show here. And well, we're gonna jump right into somebody that I've already had a chat with this morning from an interesting lug that has a lot of stuff here. So, give me 1 second here. Technical difficulties, guys. All right, so I am here with
Phoebe.
Phoebe, and your lug is?
The KC Brick Lab.
The KC Brick Lab. Now, most people have most lug groups, like the one that I'm with out of Dallas-Fort Worth, is DFW Lug. We don't see Brick Lab too often, so where did that come about? Why Brick Lab? Just because?
Honestly, I wasn't a part of when it was created, but when the name was created, I should say. We were just KC Lego user group, and then there was one year a few years ago we did a massive build display for Rick and Morty, and it just kind of became a thing of, we were like in a laboratory, and we were a laboratory of building bricks, and so it just kind of caught on that we were KC Brick Lab at that point.
Well, that's an interesting name, but I like it. It's better than just lug. Like, people say, "Oh yeah, I'm part of a Lego users group," and they think, "Oh, do you have a substance problem?" Or no, I have a Lego problem, but I don't have a substance problem. So
right.
So talk to me a little bit about your lug, what you guys brought, because you guys brought a ton of things. I mean, your tables are just littered with massive builds, just really intricate things.
Yeah, we've got a lot of different things, too. We've got a lot of different builders who are into different things. So our main thing that we started out on way back in the beginning, I think it was like 2009-ish, 2012 might be the day, was just doing a city display. And so I think our very first starting out city display had mostly modulars that were from the Lego store. And then we made roads out of construction paper and markers. So we've come a long way. We've got skyscrapers now and all kinds of creative buildings and custom trains, and it's amazing. We have different builders who have different strengths. So that's how we kind of, are able to come up with such great things, is because we pull from different people's strengths so that we can create those big buildings. And then, the rest of our tables is just where we highlight what each of those individual people likes most. Like, right. George loves military vehicles and things, so he's got a ton of those. And Eddie has that huge mosaic display that he did of the car. What is it?
I think it was Ferrari. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
And Jonah with his Bionicle figures. Or Bionicle-esque figures. We've got a wide range of people that build things, and you can kind of see in a couple of our people's smaller displays. We do a lot of library displays in Kansas City.
Okay.
And so we try to have people build something that they can the library can tie to a book.
Okay.
So that way they can get kids interested in reading, but also get them in a creative mode too with the Legos, and kind of combining the two things together.
That's really interesting that you mentioned that. I know a lot of lugs do a lot of outreaches with schools, or educational programs and stuff like that. Maybe not necessarily with the schools, but definitely educational programs. So that's really nice to hear. I know the lug that I'm part of down in Dallas does some of that stuff. They'll do some things like Earth Day, or they'll do some things where it's more kid-centric versus adult-centric. But, I'm looking around right now. You're sitting right next to me. There's a lot of kids here. There's a lot more than I expected. I expected people to come out of their basements, one of the first live shows since who knows when. It got canceled last March because of COVID, obviously. I mean,
Right.
Brick Rodeo's going on right now down in Houston. And I mean, we got Virginia Brick Fair. So I'm really happy to see a lot of the kids out here. And then I'm also happy to see so much support because this arena is, I mean, this is a pretty large arena. This is maybe not as big as Brick Fair, but
It's pretty big.
it is pretty loaded
And
with
I'm sure
a lot
it
of
could have gotten
stuff.
bigger, too.
It probably could have gotten a lot bigger. So I'm really impressed. So you guys brought a lot of stuff, like you had said. What is something? What? And I'm gonna put you on the spot here. What is your favorite build out of everything that is down there from your lug?
Oh, man. The sad part is I haven't even gotten to look at all of it yet because I just got here last night.
Doing all the setup stuff and coordinating.
I was coordinating from afar while I was working. I mean, I'm really partial to our massive city display.
Okay.
I love our newest building one of our newest buildings. I guess it's multiple buildings. We made a little Chinatown.
Okay.
That was a new idea that Craig Leeds came up with from our group to kind of do something that was a little more focused and get people to make a collaborative little scene within our city. And I think it turned out really good. Like, I mean, we still have more buildings we need to add to it and tweaks, but I think it's just a cool, most large cities in our nation have like some sort of Chinatown area of their town, like especially New York. And it's just kind of cool to see those extra little detailed things. And I don't know, I guess that's my favorite part this year.
Well, you bring up a good point because there's a whole lot of that doesn't really occur in. I mean, obviously Lego was launched in the last 2 years, some of the Chinese New Year stuff, which some of that can fit into like a Chinese town or something like that, or some of the Ninjago stuff can be modified to be able to do something like that.
Right.
So it's really cool. And I did happen to walk by and I was looking at the town and I'm just, some displays you go to, you see people that bring nothing but the current modular buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see some that have these, it's a take on a modular, and it's adjusted and maybe made a little prettier, a little bit bigger.
Right.
So it's really cool to see the custom stuff, and obviously you don't have construction paper with
Well, like
markers
I said,
on it anymore.
We didn't start out this way. We started out basic, and it's just that's how you do it. And you get growing and get creative, and the more other people you have around you being creative, you'll get the urge to do it yourself. And yeah, and so like one of the things we try to do a monthly build challenge in our group every month.
Yes.
And so I think in May, our challenge was to build what we called a city vignette, and it was just supposed to be some sort of little scene that we could pop into our city, whether it be a car wreck in the middle of the street or
because those things happen. They happen.
Kids playing catch in the park, or just little bitty scenes of character to add to the cities, because that's what kids point out. They like to look at the characters and the people happenings, not just how the structure of the building looked and
right.
how pretty it is. They like to see the character of the people and the
I agree.
Batman running through the street or something.
Yes, exactly. You have Batman running through the street. I mean, I saw there's a I don't think it's part of yours, but there's a Star Wars mock-up down there, and it's got like Princess Elsa. It's got a little checklist of can you find all these weird things.
Yes, that's the Springfield Lug. We actually work with them a lot. Most of their Lug members used to be a part of our group because they're close-ish to Kansas City.
Sure.
But so since they finally got enough core people to kind of break off from us, we still do a lot of things together too, or at least try to. But yeah, they've got some good people in their group, and I that's the best thing to do is do something interactive with the kids. So do a search and find, and most kids
Right.
don't even care if they don't get a prize.
No,
They just want to
no.
have fun.
They want to be able to look at something. I can't find it. It's a little hide and seek game going on. Well, I like the idea of the builds, like you said, with your monthly challenge, with your lug, with your group, and incorporate it into the city because, like you said, somebody that's looking to either join a Lego user group or find like-minded people or come to a show like this, all this didn't happen overnight. People didn't just have 30,000 piece villages. Right. It takes time. I mean, there's ways of going and acquiring all that kind of stuff. So.
And that's why we try to do small build challenges, because we don't want we want to encourage those people who haven't done a lot and
Sure.
haven't done great big things or don't have a lot of bricks to still get involved in a challenge and, you know, push their own creativity level, even if they don't have a lot to start with.
Yeah.
So we try to do small challenges just to get their creativity juices flowing, get them wanting to do more.
Well, and, you know, my audience, you guys listening right now, you know that I'm not a big mock builder. Like, I don't have that artsy side. I'd rather talk to people. So for me, when I go to a lug meeting, you know, once a month, and I see some of these wacky, huge, massive builds, I'm like, I'm so inferior. Like, that's all that's going through my head. So, but you bring up an interesting point, though. When you're around something like that, or you're building something small, it does bring out the creativity. Mm-hmm. Or even if you're building a Lego set, that might jumpstart something in your brain where you're like, you know, I'm going to build on this. Like, you buy a $20 set and you're like, first it's a tractor, and then you build a building of a barn, and then you have cornfields, and then I'm saying that because we're looking at a farm right across the table from us, a massive farm. So,
well, I mean, I try to get us all back to our, you know, childhood creativity days. Like, if, you know, I work at the Lego store part-time in the mall in Kansas City, and back when we had kid events, you know, you see kids in their imagination. Like, you know, to an adult, it might just look like a square block of bricks, but to a kid, it's a diving board that goes down into a lava gap.
Right.
And, you know, like,
right.
Just the creativity and imagination that they have, you know, that, you know, something so simple is just getting people to go back to that in their brain and know that they don't have to do something massive and elaborate and
Sure.
detailed.
Sure.
One of the cool things that we did not last year, but 2 years ago, we wanted to we had so many new people and we didn't know each other. So we wanted people to be able to get to know each other better. So we did a speed brick dating. So what we had everybody do is everybody had to bring a Ziploc bag full of, I think we said 30 to 40 pieces of the same, like exact same piece, element, color, shape, size, like 40 of the exact same piece of a piece. And then what we did was everybody sat, you know, we had like lunchroom style tables and we all sat across from each other. And so every time you sat in front of somebody new, you traded a brick.
Okay.
So by the time you got through everybody, you had one brick from every person in the room. So you'd at least talk to that other person for at least, you know, 1 minute. And then at the end, everybody had to build something with all of those bricks.
Okay.
And they were all a bunch of random pieces. You don't even know if they're all going to connect to each other.
Well,
and then we kind of just saw what people could create from those random pieces.
You're bringing in these weird techniques. Lego's like, that's not legal. You can't do that. That's a really cool idea. I mean, anybody that's listening that might be part of a lug, I mean, that's always an idea that you can introduce new people, because there's new people that are always finding, and I don't know about how the Kansas City lug works, but I know in the DFW lug, it's kind of, you know, some people come and they're real shy and they'll say maybe like 3 words and be like, hi, bye, see ya. And that's about it. And they just kind of sit on the outside, but obviously you can't do a brick speed dating every time.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you did it, you know, once a year, twice a year, you're still finding out about your colleagues. Even though you're here at shows with them, you're still finding out interesting things. And I got to say, lug members can be a pretty tight family. I mean, it is the best way to really describe it, because you guys
still have scraffles.
Yes,
we're not all happy go joy lucky.
There's always drama, just like in regular life. There's going to be drama with it and stuff like that. So that's not a big deal. So aside from the lug, let's talk about you. You said you've worked at the Lego store part-time, which anybody that aspires to be an adult, that's like, should be priority one. Let's work at the Lego store.
Best customer service retail job to ever have.
That's what I'm talking about. So with that in mind, everybody has a favorite theme or set from Lego, and you have to pick one. You have to pick if you say castle people are going to be happy. Oh, she's shaking her head vehemently. No, absolutely not. The castle people are now offended. So if you had to choose your favorite theme up until this point, what would it have to be?
Honestly, I really like the architecture theme.
Wow.
Yeah.
I usually don't hear that.
Because it's just the small scale and the detail and the, you know, just the, I mean, because Micropolis is, the Micropolis buildings are my favorite thing too. I haven't built a lot of them yet, but I'm building a suburb right now.
Okay.
I'm building a suburbia hell micropolis right now.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, the architecture sets are my favorite. One of the very first employee gifts I got as a Lego employee was they built kind of in the architecture theme the original creator of Lego, his house. What's his name? I can't pronounce that.
I don't know. I don't know enough Danish to be able to say that
it
name.
looks like a Frank Lloyd Wright building. It's super cool, super detailed, and I guess the Frank Lloyd Wright buildings in the architecture series are my favorite, and those are really, really old ones. But it's just all the detail and cool, and you can pick stuff from around the world, and it'll fit in, and I like how I don't have to get massively huge with things with that micro scale of everything.
Instead of needing 10,000 pieces, you need 100 to build to build a city block. Yeah, I completely get that. That makes a lot of sense. So the micro scale thing is interesting. I know it's really taken it on a world of its own. I don't know if I've seen any here so far. I don't think that there are any here. There might be a few.
I think Lolug has a little...
just a tiny little area.
Like a table worth of them over there, yeah.
But I know some other shows that I've been to, it's starting to become more, maybe not so much here in the U.S., but I know over in Europe it is a big thing.
We did a show in coordinates with the Chicago Brick World owners. We did a KC Brick World in 2018. And we did a Micropolis display.
Okay.
And so we did it, I want to say it was at least like 6 foot by 8 foot. Might have been bigger. I don't remember. Or no.
That's pretty large.
Never mind. It wasn't quite that long. I think it was more like 4 or 5 feet. It was right next to our zoo. We did a mini zoo thing too, which we have on display at Union Station in Kansas City. It's super cute.
So if anybody is curious, I need to go to Union Station.
Yes.
Okay.
We also have a Western display in Union Station as well.
Jeez Louise.
And it's got like a whole mountain that's been created out of Lego, and the train goes into it, and we've got little hidden things inside the mountain that you can see from the outside.
That's impressive. That is impressive.
We wish we could travel with it, but it's a little hard.
Yeah, I would imagine. So that brings me to something else. Traveling. I've heard from a bunch of people of how they take apart their stuff. Some people, the roads are a modular system. Some people use traditional base plates. Some people don't. Some do elevated, like with the tracks and stuff like that. So how do you guys manage to move things? Because at the end of the day, if you're driving from here to Kansas City, I mean, that's a few hours. That's a bumpy ride down Highway 29. So how do you manage to make life easy, because you don't want to be here 24 hours setting stuff up?
Oh, of course, yeah. So we do a lot of different things, and some of us have different ways of doing of packing up our stuff than others. But we try to find boxes that fit as snug as possible to the building we're doing, and then from there, like one of our people, Susie, she uses pool noodles and cuts them up into pieces because they're soft enough that they don't hurt anything, but they're pliable enough to kind of bend them around so that you can put some structure between the sides of the box, or whatever container you have it in, so the stuff doesn't move around, because that's kind of mostly the key with Lego, is making sure it doesn't bounce around too much. But I can't say personally for the skyscrapers, because I didn't build any of those. Craig and Eddie did. I know Craig took an old cabinet drawer and put handles on it, and he uses that to kind of carry it from the base. Honestly, the hardest part for us to figure out was making tables easier, because normal folding tables from event spaces aren't all the same height. They're not even. They're bowed
in the middle.
Right, they're bowed in the middle. Even the floor themselves aren't even, that sort of thing. So we actually just we had created tables that had wooden legs that we had to bolt on, and it would take us half a day just to put the tables together. We actually just found and put them together last weekend. We found some folding table legs that are really sturdy from a company, and they've got adjusters on them so we can level out the tables and make them all flat and sturdy. And for us, that's been the best thing for our city, because then we're able to put the plexiglass on the side so kids can see better and get closer but not touch things.
Okay.
And be able to see all those details and things that you need to see from the city. But we're also going to be able to have short tables and tall tables so that little kids can see too and not have to be picked up by somebody all the time.
Yeah.
But having those folding legs makes it really a lot easier and a lot more transportable to bring our own tables places. And I think that's key for our big collaborative layouts like that.
Yeah, you guys, you talk about collaborative, and I know that's the way most lugs work. Like, you bring the track, I'll bring the buildings. You bring the Star Wars big things, I'll bring the Star Wars layout. There's a whole lot of that, and like you said, you're putting the show on. Yes, adults are bringing kids if they're bringing their kids or whatever, but kids, I mean, they want to be able to see this kind of stuff. So I like the idea of, a table for everybody to be able to get an eye view instead of here. Like, I'm looking right now, there's a kid on his dad's shoulders. He's got the best view in the house, like a bird's eye view of this farm across from the way. So I know there's a bunch of competitions and stuff that are going on here, and we're going to talk with Nate about that a little bit later. But you've had an opportunity to kind of walk around, not just your stuff. What are maybe one thing or a few things here that build-wise that you're just like, holy crap?
So the things that draw my attention are, I guess, what you call foliage. So like the trees and grass and things. So there's the Hobbit.
Yes.
I don't remember the name.
You're on your own here. I don't know.
It's the Hobbit Town is what I'm going to call it.
The Hobbit Town. The Hobbit
so all
Town
the houses
works.
built into the side of the hill with all the trees. Like, that is just, it's so cool to me. Like, I don't even know where to start. Our own Sean Kelly builds these massive big trees, and I don't know how he does it, and I ask him if I can borrow a tree to put next to my house all the time, every time we set up the city. But it's those type of things that really draws my eye. I think that's one of my favorites. But I've seen lots of little ones too, like I don't know the names, but yeah.
So the foliage is what draws you in.
Yes.
And, it's one of those things that it may draw you in, but if it's done really well, it's going to really suck you into everything else around, because you can build a tree. Anybody can build a tree. Right. It's the very intricately detailed trees that are, a foot tall or whatever, that you're like, oh my God, how did you even do this? What is this, 500-piece tree?
We don't have any of her stuff here, but one of our builders, Leah Cardassi, she makes the most amazing botanical stuff, like flowers and trees, and just she's made like park fountain scenes for us a lot. She does amazing work with building flowers out of Lego, that because there's the Lego set, the flower bouquet. Like, she builds stuff that's 10 times better than that. Like,
well, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because I've had an opportunity to build all the bouquet stuff, and those are awesome. But when you come here and you look at some of this stuff, and obviously, like you said, her stuff is not here, but when you see that kind of stuff, you're like, oh my God, just taking it and ramping up the detail like times 10. And I understand why Lego can't do that. They
got to make it affordable for kids.
It would be a $500 flower, So I understand that, but it's really cool to be able to take that kind of stuff, or take an idea like that, and then just, you've got this flower bouquet that's 50,000 piece type thing going on. It's just so wild. So, well, I'm sad that she couldn't be here. I mean, I know people were doing a bunch of different things. It's So
we all can't go to every show. Unfortunately.
We all can't go to every show. Yeah, we all can't go to every show. So if you guys are wondering, like, what is all the noise that is going on? I've got the bathrooms that are right next to my table. I know who put me here. But there's just galore
tons of people.
And we're only not even an hour into the event yet.
Yep. Just
a lot of people here. So anything else that is coming up for the KC Awesome Peeps?
So far, the only thing on the books officially is just our normal. So Union Station they have a model train rail room, and so at Christmas they do the model rail train guys do a huge display outside of their train room in the big great hall, and they have Santa Claus. Like, Union Station has Santa Claus there, and a whole bunch of other like fun picture opportunity, blow up things and Christmas trees and all that kind of stuff. Well, we always do a Lego Christmas scene within their train layout and
Sure.
everything. So that'll be our next big thing is our holiday Christmas display. And we always do a couple different things. Last year, we kind of did like a Disney theme.
Okay.
So we did downtown Disney-ish Christmas eyes with Christmas trees and wreaths and everything. And then we have what we call our little porthole. It's like a little cave section where we've got lights going on. And we had Mickey and Minnie all Santa Claused up because we had the Mickey and Minnie set from the Lego store, and so we redid their outfits so they looked like they were dressed as Mr. and Mrs. Claus, and we had a big Christmas tree. Pluto that's over there on display. Yes. He was on a rug on the floor in the middle of the floor, and we had George built us a big fireplace backdrop, and so it was just a cute little like Mickey Minnie Christmas fire scene in the cave.
Awesome. That is cool. That is always cool to see those kind of displays that follow a holiday type idea or whatever, but being able to be displayed. What about shows coming up? Are you planning on attending, you guys in general, trying to attend any of the shows? Because I know Kansas City's in a pretty good spot where there's a bunch of shows in the vicinity.
There is. We just showed, we were at Crypticon last weekend.
Okay.
And so we did a display within there. We're going to be at Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City in, I think it's August, September. I don't remember. They keep changing the dates because of COVID.
Of course,
so,
yes. It's a floating date.
Exactly. I know this is official now, but it's changed so many times I can't remember off the top of my head. We're trying to work with our local library to do a kind of a KC Brick Lab showcase, just to kind of show off our own creations and get the public seeing what we've done and get people interested to join our lug. And but we don't have, unfortunately, we haven't had the opportunities that Low Lug has to do a cool show like this.
Yeah.
We are hoping to do another KC Brick World, but that's still to be determined at this point. So
hopefully. that would give me a reason to come back up to the Midwest and do another live.
We'll definitely be up to Lincoln for the next Brick Days.
I think it's November.
November, yeah.
November. So with that in mind, really cool shows. Where can people find, like, if somebody right now is within a driving distance of KC, because I know some people drive like 2 hours away to come to a meeting. Where could they find you? How could they get in touch if they're interested in being a member or helping join or helping build or do whatever? There's all kinds of thankless jobs and opportunities, yes, but there's all kinds of thankless jobs. So where could people find you?
So, of course, our website's kcbricklab.org. And there's links on there to our Facebook page, Twitter and YouTube, which don't have quite as much activity, Instagram page. Most of our communications and stuff are through our Facebook page. We have a public page, and then we, if you want to get involved with the group, we do have a private page that you can request to join, and then find out more about our events and how to get involved and check out our pictures and
check out our pictures of all the stuff that we build and everything. Very interesting. So before I let you go, because I know you got to get back and do your whole song and dance, look at this stuff, and this is who we are. With the people that are actually here, because people are walking by looking like, what are those two doing? Being an employee at the Lego store, you guys have some really cool stuff that you always get to see. You get the lowdown and stuff, just like myself. You're finding out all this news and stuff like that. What do you think is in the last year? Obviously, because Lego just went through the roof.
Yeah. Everybody wanted to build.
So what do you just dealing with customers on a daily basis? What do you see that maybe has changed in the last year with kids, adults that are maybe coming into the store or I mean, once the store opened? I'm assuming the store is now open.
Yeah.
So what is something maybe that you have noticed different than maybe in the past?
I guess, just I don't know. It's crazy how much more people have bought now, I guess you could say. Like, we have less people that just come in and look and don't buy anything.
And it's funny that you mentioned that because I figured that might be where you would what you would say.
I mean,
where
part
you
of
go
that
with
is
it.
because we still are, limiting the number of people in the
Right.
store at a time. So our store is the only store in the mall that basically has a line out of it all the time.
We're like,
So
we're like,
by
what
the
is
time
going
people
on?
have waited in the line, they're going to buy something,
Sure.
Yeah.
Like when Star Wars Day pops up and you have 500 people waiting outside to buy
Right.
10 cents. Well, I've noticed, that a lot of people at this point in time, what they're doing is they may have found Lego again during the pandemic, and then they are still continuing on that road now.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to see because, adults that were maybe in a dark age at that point in time, like most of us have been, are now able to find something that stimulates us. And then, like I said, you buy an architecture set and it leads into something else, and you think,
Right.
oh my goodness, this is some wild stuff, and
Yeah.
you end up building micro scale like yourself, so
Like for me, it's therapeutic. Building Lego is therapeutic. Whether I'm building something myself, like as a mock, or if I'm just building a set from the store, for me, it's therapy. It gets my mind off of what's going on around me and what troubles are maybe happening in the
Sure.
world. Like I put on a movie or some music and I just sit there and build and follow the instructions.
Well, let me ask you this then, okay? Because you obviously know about the Lego art stuff, and I've had the privilege of being able to build the world map. I guess you could call it a privilege. I don't know. My fingers were kind of raw afterwards.
We had to build it for the store display, and so we'd all sit back there taking a
tedious,
break, building a piece at a time.
Yeah, it took me about 19 hours. But with that said, you touched on something that I wanted to bring up later, but about the relaxation to just kind of let daily stressors go and everything like that. What do you think about the Lego art sets where that's kind of what they have kind of done with their soundtracks to, allow it to be an adult world and just kind of unwind? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's pretty cool. I haven't myself done it with
the soundtrack
and everything, but to me, I mean, music has always been a big part of my life growing up with my family, and so just, those types of art things are just therapy for me. They get my brain to relax. They get my creative juices flowing at the same time, but they get my head back in a positive space, and just, I don't know. I think that's cool that Lego honed in on that aspect to kind of, get people to see how connected everything is,
They came after the adults. They're like, we see you. We know how big your piggy bank is. Let's go after you. Yeah, I really like the idea that they have done something like that to allow parents, adults in general, just to de-stress. Because I mean, you think about it, you're an adult. There's always something every single day you have to deal with, whether or not you have kids, just the adult world in general. So,
well, and it helps expose you to different things too. Like maybe you didn't listen to the Beatles when you were little or something. So,
Right.
It's introducing you to a different genre of music, or
Right. Right, absolutely. And then you get into I'm a geography buff, and I had the privilege of having a conversation with the designer for the map set. And I was just like fangirling the whole time. I'm like, this is so amazing. Oh my God, I can't believe it.
I was the worst at geography in school, so
I'm looking, I'm like, there's that, there's this, there's all kinds of different things that are on that. But it's a travel person's dream, because if you're traveling the world, you can put pins on it and be like, I went here.
Right.
Anyway. Well, Phoebe, it was nice having you on. I really enjoyed having a chat with you and
thank you for
learning
having me.
about the lug down there in KC. So make sure you guys go check out, like she said, Facebook page, especially the website as well. And if you have any questions, reach out to her, reach out to them, go check out their shows.
KC Brick Lab.
KC Brick Lab, you can't miss it. So Phoebe, I really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully I'll see you again in a show somewhere in the Midwest here in the next few months.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, guys, we are going to take a quick break, and we will be back here in about 5 minutes. All right, guys, we're back live here at Nebraska Brick Days. If you are trying to find out where this lovely place is located, it is at the Mid-America Center. I will tell you this. It is the south entry of the building. We are located by the restrooms, obviously, but very interesting stuff that is going on here. So before the next person comes on, I wanted to share some information with you guys, and maybe you've already seen it all over the social medias. Maybe I don't know that Lego necessarily tweeted this out, but it is most definitely something that I really think is important. So the video stuff, the video has been going around for a while. It has been something that, really haven't found to be super entertaining, in my opinion. I know some of you are going to say, what is wrong with you, man? Anyway, there was news that video was going away, that video is going to be stopped, that it's going to go away like Hidden Side, like so many others over the time that they have been around, right? Just going to be kaput. They're just going to pull the plug on it out of nowhere. And then you're like, what is going on? And I talk to April B, and April B is like, you know what? God, just please wait until October until they get the new minifigs. I need a case of minifigs, So here is what officially has come down from Lego as of yesterday. And I wanted to share it with you guys today. I was traveling yesterday, through all the lovely states up here. So this is exactly verbatim what Lego has had to say. As you know, we launched Lego Video in January to connect with children in a completely new way, blending music, digital play, and Lego building in a fun and unique way. The product tested extremely well during development and has received really positive feedback from those children and families who played with it. We've seen a positive response to the launch, but we've also received feedback from people who think they could make the play experience across the app, beat bits, music, and minifigs even simpler. So we're taking that on board, and together with Universal Music Group are going to pilot some new ideas in 2022, then release new play experiences in 2023 and beyond. Lego Video is very much still available. The current products will continue to be sold in stores and marketed globally, and we're continuing to support this fantastic play experience, including new updates and fun challenges to the app to inspire children's creative music video making. Thank you for your continued support of the Lego brand. We hope for your understanding behind the decision. So that was their official statement that they put out yesterday. It is not going away. You're still going to be able to find Lego Video. But if you're going to read between the lines, it seems as of 2022, everything is going to kind of take a back seat, and maybe products that were supposed to launch may not launch, at least during the year of 2022. But it appears that new stuff is going to be coming about in 2023. New ideas, like they said, new ways of doing things. And I know they have the Universal license, and the Universal license is a big one. It's a massive license to have. So being able to use that to its entirety, I don't know what the contract terms were, is a major deal. So being able to take it and run with it is huge. Going back to the drawing board after you get feedback, that's what those surveys are for. So when you get those feedback surveys back, you really need to kind of diagnose what is going on, and they're really good about doing that. So being able to go back to the drawing board, maybe not completely, but adjusting things as it goes along is a really, really big deal. So I commend them for doing that. If you're a Lego Video aficionado, I know some of the sets that are about to release here in a week, August 1st, here in the United States anyway, those are going to be some big time sets for a theme that really hasn't shown it. So that's kind of a big deal. So moving along from that, I'm waiting on my next guest here. They're a little bit late, so we're going to just kind of idle here for a second. Not completely. So I wanted to talk about a few of the mugs. If you guys have checked out my Instagram, you have seen some of the really interesting designs that are out here. The pirate display alone was huge. It was absolutely huge. I mean, you're talking official models from Pirates of Barracuda Bay. You know, the two different models that you can build, the ship and the island. You're talking about stuff that is old, as in, you know, way, way old, you know, decades ago, 20, 30 years ago. I don't know if Pirates has been around for 40 years, probably. That seems about right. So you've got that kind of stuff that is here, and it is taking up a massive display in the center. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And then right next to that, somebody has built a massive aircraft carrier, huge aircraft carrier with full-size jets that are on top of it. And when I say a massive aircraft carrier, it's not going to do any justice to use any descriptive terms here, because it's not going to do it any justice. The thing has to be 18 feet long. And I think this may have been something that Beyond the Brick has covered before, but it's just huge. And I stood there by it, and I was looking at the jets that were on there. You've got helicopters that are on there. Just some really cool stuff. If you are interested, and here's the thing: if you have never been to a show before, a Lego show of any kind, whether it be an official like Nebraska Brick Days or, you know, something else that Phoebe was talking about. You can. Sorry, somebody was trying to grab my attention. So there's so many different mocks that you can see here, and it doesn't have to be specifically something like this. You know, like I said, DFW Lug does a Moon Day, and it's all space stuff, and they have a Lego section there with space stuff, with build up space stuff. So with that, check it out. If you've not been to a show, whether obviously the last year and a half, you know, pretty much nobody has been to a show. But it is one of those things that you have to check out. If you're a Lego fan in general, you just have to go, because you're going to see things like, to my right, I have Lord of the Rings. I don't know anything about Lord of the Rings, but it is not official sets, as far as I know. But it's a mock built around Lord of the Rings. There was another one over where all the pirate stuff was, where there was like a little island. It had Smeagol that was built into the mountain on the inside, so you could see a whole bunch of different things that were in that. If you're a city person, there's always going to be city stuff here. At every single show, there is going to be something city, whether it be modular type stuff, whether it be trains, whether it be a completely custom layout. There's always going to be stuff around. All right. Well, I'm going to go grab my next guest, because they're looking at me. They look like they're stuck chatting at the moment. So we'll take another quick break, and then we'll be back, hopefully with them here in a few minutes. All right, guys, we are back live again after that break. Just so many people here, it's impossible to find everybody. But I'm joined by Jamie LeBlanc. Sorry, Jamie, go ahead. I had your mic muted. Go ahead.
Jamie LeBlanc from the Northern Illinois Lego Train Club.
Northern Illinois Lego Train Club. That is a mouthful. I've heard of you guys before. You guys have been at a number of shows, and usually wherever there's train stuff. I know it's like the being out of Dallas. I know the Texas train lug down there is a crazy. It's a crazy group of people. They build some really stuff, and you guys have a ton of trains here. So, talk to us a little bit about your lug.
The lug started right about 2002. There was 5 original members. It was when Legos and adults were kind of just coming out. A bunch of guys were at one of our members at the time was at an actual train show, Lionel, Tyco, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And, a couple of the guys, he had a small little Lego, display, and everybody's like, wouldn't it be cool if we all came together and did a bigger display? And that was almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
Right now the club has about 25 active members. We do about 7 shows a year and average about 20,000 people a year that we actually show to.
That's an impressive number.
for a Lego Train Club, yeah. It's
yeah,
cool.
for just a specific, just a Lego Train Club. So who do you guys like when you go to shows? Do you decide, you know what, I'm just going to go to more of like a train centric show, or something like this where it's just a massive everything? Because I know there's some shows where there's just like almost like a model railroad club.
Most of our stuff is done, believe it or not, in Chicago with public libraries.
Okay.
Early on, one of the public libraries said, hey, they're looking for something to bring in dads. It's always moms and grandmas and grandpas or something. They were looking for dads. And they're like, well, maybe this would do it. And we started out with them, and the librarians in Chicago all network. So all of a sudden you had a really good program, and they're like, hey, you should try this out. And the next thing you know, we were like right now we have a 2-year waiting list to get into various libraries, meaning that we only do 7 shows a year. We have too many libraries calling up going, can you come, can you come, can you come? And some of our biggest library shows have pulled in 4,000 to 7,000 people at a public library.
That's impressive. There's give or take, I don't know, there's a few thousand people that have already been in and out of here today.
Yeah.
But a library, you usually don't think about that. So to have that reach,
yeah,
that's a big deal. So when you talk about different libraries, are you talking about just in the Northern Illinois area? Or are you talking different location, different states around the area?
No, mostly the Northern Illinois area.
Okay.
We go from, we've been asked to come all the way into the city, to go to the far north, the far south, the west, everywhere.
Yeah.
You figure Chicago's a fairly large metropolitan area, and there's a lot of really well-funded libraries out there. And there's a lot of big libraries. Obviously you have your average library is not going to hold 7,000 people over a weekend. Some of these libraries are actually really big. And they absolutely adore us. We're kid-friendly, adult-friendly, tween-friendly, grandpa-friendly, parent-friendly.
Right.
And we kind of track to see with the libraries, okay, we're here, people are coming in, but are they filtering into the library? Has your checkouts gone up? Have your programs gone up? And they're like, oh yeah, we're well beyond what we should be doing on a Saturday or a Sunday. So
that's a positive relationship to have, though.
Oh yeah, we just don't want to. We don't want to come in and they come in, see us, and then they leave.
and leave.
We want them to bleed into the greater. And the library usually does, a lot of the ones that have been around, they do other programs. Mm-hmm. They'll have other Lego programs going throughout the library, like, check out Lego books. They'll be playing the Lego movie, or they'll have some other program that they're actually doing to pull them also into the greater library, which is good.
Yeah.
Especially in this day and age where it's like everybody can look at a Kindle or something. To get physical people in a library that want to be in the library and do stuff with the library, that's awesome.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I appreciate that. So you guys have not just trains here, right?
Correct. I mean, we are the Northern Illinois Lego Train Club, but we have members that they like trains, but really they're more into. We have our one member, Carrie. She's into zoos.
Okay.
And she loves zoos. We have other members that do mosaics. We have other members that do life size. We have a guy that actually makes life size guitars out of Lego. I mean, but they're more static displays, but that's cool too.
Right.
It's whatever the creativity is. Really.
Yeah. So you're basically like, hey, everybody that is, in the lug, around the lug, hey, we're looking for this. You don't just have to be train centric, which is a big deal. I mean, so you guys have been around for quite a long time.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah,
We're one of the oldest ones in the United States.
That's a pretty big deal. And you guys have some really nice shirts, by the way. they're nicer than some of the other ones I've seen. They're maybe not as flashy, but they're like car garage type guy. So walk me through something like this. You're coming to bring your layout. Your train goes the whole way around the table, right?
Yeah.
So something like that, what does it take logistically to be able to move something like that? Because I don't know what the time or drive distance is for you guys, but
about 6 hours.
6 hours is a lot of bumps and bruises in a vehicle, in a trailer, or whatever. So talk to me a little bit about the logistics from getting there to here to set up to just the beauty that is on the table.
Well, I think first we have to actually kind of go back. A lot of us have done this for so long. Like I said, we've been around for 20 years. You realize when you're actually building a creation, we all start out this way. We make a really solid, heavy creation of whatever, and then it's impossible to move. So you've done this long enough where you're like, okay, I've got to think of this modularly, so I can break it all down into either a tote, a crate, pieces, so they can actually get stored and secured, really.
Yeah.
And then for any of our shows, this one included, something goes out on our communication network and says, okay, we're all going to go here. Here's the dates. Anybody interested? It's a really cool show. And then out of the 25, I think we've got 7 or 8 here. And they all said, yeah, we'd love to come. Okay, great. How much you going to bring? And we have standards table sizes of 40 by 60, 40 by 40. And they're like, well, I'm going to bring 3 tables of 40 by 60.
Sure.
Okay. What orientation? This kind of thing. And then we have one logistics man that actually kind of puts the layout together so it kind of works for the space.
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of the day of. We've got one member that's got a dual axle trailer, and that's where all the tables, the skirting, the plexiglass, all our supplies go into. And then the rest of us just kind of load our cars accordingly. So, I mean, one of the other members and I, we came in a Chevy Traverse or something like that. And, quite honestly, if we had another bottle of water, I think the axles would have fallen off because it was packed solid. So, but yeah, I mean, we all kind of make do, and you understand how much you can fit in your car. You understand how much you can bring.
Right.
So, but yeah, and then Sunday night we'll tear it all down. It'll go fairly quickly. I mean, we've designed our own tables, flip up legs and all this kind of stuff. The plexi comes out.
Yep.
I mean, after 20 years, we kind of got it down to a science.
It is a science, yeah.
So,
well, it's funny because I was talking to Phoebe from the KC Brick Lab, and she was saying the same thing, like, with flip up their own tables and stuff like that, because you don't know when the floor is going to be level or the tables and the bows and everything like that. So, especially when you have something like a train set up where you need things to line up and match.
Oh, very much so. And, our tables are adjustable, like you said. Some of the older libraries we go into, it's amazing. You're like, everything's level. No, it drops 3 inches. How does it drop 3 inches? This is a library. But we actually go around with a level and actually level the tables, because when you're dealing with the Lego trains, they're all battery powered.
Sure.
So if you really have, even the slightest incline, it might be fine when you're sitting at home and you got it on your table or under the Christmas tree. We're running trains for 8-10 hours.
Yeah.
And you'll deplete batteries fairly quickly if you're just trying to pull them uphill all the time. Yeah. So we try to make it as easy on the trains as we can.
So you mentioned about the batteries.
Yeah.
The interesting thing here, I don't know. Do you guys use 9-volt?
We used to have 9-volt. The problem is with a lot of our setups, they're so large that we had power drops. Because the 9-volt, very much like a Lionel track, a powered track. And if you don't have everything, especially with us, where we're constantly taking it down, putting it up,
Sure.
it got to be too much of a pain in the butt.
Right.
So with the power functions, which is now even the Lego's not really doing power functions anymore, but it's basically you have a self-contained IR sensor, battery, and a motor,
Sure.
and you've got a little controller from afar, so you really don't need the track to be perfect.
So with batteries, what's the average battery life? Because your trains are not like the Lego City trains that come out. They are hefty, bulky things.
Ironically, and this is going to sound crazy, but most of the custom cars are running actually small bearings on the axles. With the bearings, it really cuts down the actual...
On the friction?
Exactly.
Yes.
So you can actually do a lot more with those, and it's not... if you've got a fully charged battery, depending on the train, you could go for a couple hours easy. If obviously I try to make a big train, but I try to make it light, because it's that... If you make it really heavy, you're just going to deplete the battery and burn out the motor. So you try to kind of find that middle ground of I can get the longest time with the battery, I can get the longest time with the motor, and still have it all pretty and detailed out. So people are like, "Oh my God, what is that?"
Well, I would have never guessed that it was battery powered. I've seen a number of shows. A lot of people use 9 volts. It may not be as big as that because, like you said, you have. But then there's also people that experiment with their own power and do.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So that is a whole nother animal in itself. So I had mentioned your trains they're really big in comparison to Lego City trains.
Yeah.
Is there a scale that you guys use? Like I know some of the model railroaders, there's different scales and stuff like that. Do you guys use a scale, or is it just something like the group uses and say, okay, we're all going to build it to this certain scale, or are you following like an official scale?
So on a Lego brick, you have the studs on top. And most of the Lego trains that come out are what we call 6-stud or 6-stud wide. Most of what you're seeing on our stuff is either 8-stud or even 10-stud wide, depending on. If you want to go scale-wise, I think... Don't quote me on this, but I think it's 42 to 1 scale or something of that nature. As I said, don't quote me on that, But most of what we do, most of the larger trains are 8 to 10 studs wide, which allows the builder to actually really imbue the model with a lot of detail. 6-stud wide, it's just not big enough to actually really do a lot of heavy detailing. Okay. So that's where the positive is.
Yeah, that is. I think that is one of the biggest things that I've noticed with the lug group that I'm with. The guys that design the trains, the bigger the better.
Yeah.
They want to get as much detail in there as they can, and like you said, a 6-stud wide, it's just not going to be able to cut it. So you guys have some other things over there as well. You guys have some really big buildings. We're looking at the one right here on the corner.
Yes.
What is that supposed to be?
That is, and I don't follow this, but that is a castle from Overwatch.
See, I've heard a few people from Overwatch today. There's another one from...
farther down, there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. So it's a castle from Overwatch. So just huge. It takes up an entire corner of your build. So was that something like, hey, I'm going to bring this, and you guys are bringing the trains, and we're just going to fit it together?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean... since we're in a more of a convention setting, we try to all stay together. But if we do some of our own shows, usually if we have something that's more, as I was talking about earlier, static display, we'll put a couple tables off to one side where anybody that wants more of a lug person, if they want to do static displays, hey, we can set you up over here. If they want to be part of the main display, they just have to throw railroad tracks in front of it, and then we can incorporate it into the actual display.
See, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I've seen some like what you're talking about, and I've seen what you guys have going on where you guys are sitting in the middle, just chilling, talking to people as the trains go around. So with your lug, if somebody's trying to find you, and then I have some other questions for you. We're not done yet. I'm going to hold you hostage here.
No, it's all good.
So where can people find your lug that might be interested in either joining or coming out to shows in the future? Where can they find you?
www.niltc.org.
Okay. Any social medias that you guys use?
We're on Facebook. If you look up NILTC on Facebook, I think we're on Instagram as well. We have We have a social media guy that does all
Okay.
that. He's much more into all the various social media aspects than I am.
Yeah.
So, but I know we're on Instagram. I know we have a Facebook page, and if you just search NALTC or Northern Illinois Lego Train Club, they'll find us. So.
Okay. Well, that's good because I'm always asked, where can I find a lug? Well, I know you can find it on the Ambassador Network. If you log in, you can find it on the Ambassador Network. But most people don't go that far.
Yeah.
There's somebody that just kind of keeps themselves and does their builds, but they still want to be part of the group. So roughly about how many members do you guys have in your group? I guess that are more active.
Probably there's we've got about 25, 26 members. Out of that, we probably have a core group of 15 that are really active.
Okay.
We have some what we call sustaining members, members that, everybody joins at a certain age and then they're really active and then maybe they get married or they start having kids.
Yeah.
Or maybe their job takes I'm going to be busy on this project for the next year. Just go sustaining. That way you still get all the, we're on Slack. That's our communication method. They get all the Slack messages. They're still invited to the meetings. We have a picnic coming up in September, that kind of stuff. But maybe they're not as active at the moment. So, which is fine, Life happens.
Yeah, I was going to say, everybody has a life situation they come across and they're like, you know what, I can't make this meeting or I can't do this show because of here. Take my stuff, but I just can't do it.
Yeah.
So Phoebe from KC Lug had mentioned that they do, when they have, maybe not always when they have a new person, but from time to time they'll do like a brick speed dating thing. And it's a good way to get communication and learn about one another. So what is something that you guys do that really kind of brings your group together? I know you said you had a picnic.
Yeah.
But let's say somebody new is going to come in, hey, Jamie, I really want to join this lug. I'm really into Lego. This is what I can build or this what I can do.
Yeah.
What is something that you could, or what is something maybe that you guys do that's similar to that?
We have an onboarding process. And usually what we do is we invite them to a meeting. We have a very unique sense of humor. We're always quoting like movies, Mel Brooks movies, Caddyshack, Animal House, all that kind of stuff. So we invite them to a meeting, and we kind of want to see how the personalities gel.
Okay.
Because what we don't want to have happen is have just some stick in the mud, and then the rest of us are all goofing around, having a good time. Because, usually what we do when we set up, we'll bring in a radio or something, or some speakers and hook up on your phone or an iPad or iPod or something. And we're listening to music. We're throwing like movie jabs at each other. It's a real kind of a camaraderie, just silliness, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we try to get them to a meeting and kind of, okay, how do the personalities go? If that works, we ask them to actually set up or work a show with us. And the reason there is that, it's great. Everybody comes to our shows and like, God, this is beautiful. This is great. What they don't see is the 6 to 8 hours of setup time, lugging in all the materials, the tables and everything else. So we want to give them fully rounded as to, hey, this is really what it takes.
Yeah.
And then if that works, we'll actually have them show with us to kind of see where they are in their building.
Okay.
Are you looking at like, all you do is build like very simple 80 sets, or are you really doing something crazy on your own? And then we'll pair them off with actually a member and kind of, I don't necessarily want to see a mentor per se, but we'll pair them off with somebody that they have a point of contact, that if they don't want to, if they're not comfortable putting something out on Slack, they can get a hold of this person and go, hey, I heard this is going up. What is this? Can you describe it? So they're not embarrassed as well. So,
well, everybody needs whether you call it a mentor or not, everybody needs one when you come into a lug, because it is kind of it's a weird animal.
It's a family dynamic.
It is a very family dynamic, and that's the word that I used with Phoebe earlier. You coming into it, and you may be somebody that's just been playing with Lego, or you may have been building MOCs or not, to be able to jump into that and you see these people that have these massive displays can be really off-putting. So, that is really interesting. So,
well, not only that, you also have, and I'm not trying to make a generalization here, but there's some creative people that are they're not necessarily social animals.
Yes.
There's creative people that the stuff they do is absolutely amazing, but they might be a little more reserved. They might be someone that really just, they're coming out to a Lego show or doing a Lego show is something very different and very outside of their comfort level. We also have some very strong personalities in the club. And the last thing I want is I'm trying to get everybody's opinion, everybody's input. Sometimes if you don't have like a mentor or somebody they can go to, they kind of get drowned out, or there's
Sure.
a possibility they can get drowned out. We don't want that to happen. We want everybody to talk about, ask, so
Right.
be present, if
Right.
you will. So that helps with that.
Yeah. Well, that's you bring up an interesting point there. You don't want anybody to be drowned out. You want everybody to give their input and stuff like that. And like you said, some people just aren't social animals. They just, hey, I like what I do. I like building what I build. And, I run across that a number of people, not just my luck, but just in general. Some people are just, no, I don't really want to talk about my creation. You
Just look at it.
just,
Yeah.
whatever. So, aside from what we're seeing today
Yeah.
from you guys, what are some other shows that people can see you at in the future coming up? Or do you have any planned? Because I know they're just coming back for the most part.
They're just coming back. Unfortunately, like I said, we had a 2-year waiting list, but when the pandemic hit, all of a sudden, obviously, most of the libraries didn't want to invite, our average is around 3,000 people at a library.
Right.
And most libraries are like, not really into that right now, so hey, we'll call you.
We'll be in touch.
I mean, right now we have a show scheduled in Tinley Park, the public library in Tinley Park, Illinois, October 8th, 9th, and 10th. And then we have an annual Christmas show. This will be the 20th year we've done our Christmas show at Cantini Park in Wheaton in Illinois.
Okay.
That's the December 4th and 5th, I believe. So Cantini Park is it's the old residence of Robert R. McCormick, who was the head of Tribune back. I mean, it's this beautiful,
long time ago.
Yeah, beautiful rolling park, and they have the First Division Museum from the First Division, Army division.
Okay. Yeah.
They've got that there. They've got we're in their visitor center, and we bring in, our best, I think it was 12,000 people over a weekend. But the park is decorated to the nines for Christmas. We have the train club in there. We have all sorts of vendors that are in there, Lego vendors for us. We're running, we usually run some kind of a raffle for a big Lego set for all the patrons. In the past, we've had some Star Wars reenactors walking around, so you'll turn a corner and there's Darth Vader. Hey, how you doing? So it's almost a circus atmosphere that is just, it's a lot of fun. So, but those are the two that are solidly, as you said. Most of the others on our waiting list, they're kind of like, all right, we're just getting our foot wet, but it's right about now I need to really start pushing them to, hey, I need to line some up for spring, next fall, that kind of thing.
So do you guys have any plans? Like I know, and I had mentioned to Phoebe, Brick Rodeo is going on down in Texas where I'm from, and then Brick Fair, Virginia is next weekend. Do you guys see yourselves going to any of the big shows like that, maybe in the region? I know Kansas City's trying to work on getting a show sometime, potentially by the end of the year or, sometime next year. Do you see yourselves maybe doing anything like that?
Quite honestly, we do Brick World in Chicago, which is usually in June,
Yeah.
And then this is the only other real convention that we do as a club. Certain members go off and they'll do some of the other stuff.
Yeah.
But as a group, I mean, the problem is we're a very active club. If we're already doing 7 shows a year, and then the summers are really hard for most members because life. You got baseball, soccer, you got, kids, you got all this other stuff happening. So this is probably the only one we've done so far. One year we had so many, like I said, we have a 2-year backlog. I loaded up each month we had a show. And by about mid-year, I started noticing all the members burning out because they could not commit continually to doing a show. Now maybe, say another 5-10 years as we grow, maybe there's a handful that really like doing the conventions. And maybe they'll start going off and doing the conventions as NALTC, where the guys that have families and all, they're going to bow out for the summer because they have other things going on, vacations and whatnot.
Well, it is a massive undertaking. I mean, like you said, people are seeing the end result here. They don't see the setup, the teardown. It doesn't matter if you've done it a million times or one time. It's still going to take a certain amount of time. And then you add on travel and travel expenses.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of that most people don't think about. So I understand, not going to this show, that show, this show, and staying more local, because at the end of the day, you're trying to cater more towards your local. It's nice to come to these big shows like this and see and have somebody like you who I wouldn't have run into just about anywhere else, because Brick World didn't happen this year.
No,
but it is a really cool thing. as far as moving forward,
Yeah.
Lego has come out with some really cool stuff. Do you guys see any products where you're like, you know what? I want to do something like that, but my own mock
Yeah.
and add it into, whether it be, obviously, train is going to be train,
Yeah.
but maybe, I don't know, something like an Overwatch building, to get the wheels turning. I mean,
It's most of us actually buy a lot of Lego sets. I mean, they're fun.
Yeah.
You learn a lot of different techniques from the Lego sets. And you just, my first Lego set was like 1976. So I've been building Lego sets for forever.
Yeah.
So still building Lego sets is a lot of fun. There's that, at least for me, I can only speak for myself. There's that line though, that I'm a creative person. I want to create my own stuff,
Right. Yeah.
So pretty much, maybe Lego inspires you in some aspect, but what we're doing right now, we're doing it because that's what we want to do, And we have, the nice thing is being an adult, we have the ability, we have the monetary means to
Right.
do so. Just a quick story. I had to. One of my friends said, "Hey, my son Dominic would love to come over and build with you. The Lego Master. This
Yeah.
kind of thing." And I said, "Yeah, sure." So we sat there, and he's like, "Gosh, I wish I had a bunch of trees for this." And I took out this bin and just plopped it down in front of him. And he kind of looked at me. He's like, "Well, I wish I had all these guys." And I took another bin and that I had probably like 1,500 minifigs in it and put it down. And the funny thing is, I'm sitting there. I was thinking on one plane of reality. When I was looking at him, he is so used to. We were all kids there.
Sure,
we
sure.
had to use our imagination because we didn't have a bin of trees or 1,500 minifigures or whatever. You saw this almost look of confusion on his face, and he didn't know what to do because he's like never been presented with this much Lego. And I had to readjust my thinking because I'm like, all right, he's still way into imagination,
Yeah.
whereas I have imagination, then I can make it reality. And I
Right.
had to dumb myself down to hang out and build with them, So it's for us, and I have a budget for Lego, and I have to balance buying those really cool Lego sets that I want to build with the the raw brick that I need to
Right.
do my creativity.
I need 10,000 pieces of this
Exactly.
white 1x2.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, well, that's a modular, or I can build and finish off this creation.
Right.
And that's my ongoing issue.
Yeah, I think that's an ongoing issue with a lot of people that do mocks. There are some that are just like, no, I stay away from the building stuff. I only buy sets for pieces. So are you, this is the golden question. When you organize your stuff,
Yes,
is it color first or part first?
both.
Both.
So your basic brick and your basic plate are color. And then I've got a 3-door bin or whatever, and I put the brick and then like the 1x2s and the 1x1s and
Right.
then all the plate. All the what I would call accessory stuff is all done by piece.
Okay.
Because I'm a little anal. If I show you a picture of my build area, every bin is labeled, and then I have a master book. So if I'm looking for a modified tile, I go to the modified tile section, find what I'm looking for, and it'll say bin E22 or bin 156.
See, now I've not heard of a master book, but that is a great idea.
I've got too much Lego. No. Let me rephrase that.
I was going to say, you can't say that.
I have a lot of Lego, and when I'm building, unfortunately, I have limited time to build too because I've got a day job. I've got
Right.
I'm the mayor of my little town.
Right.
So I have limited time, and when I get down there, I want to be able to, if I need 400 of these little pieces, I need to know where they are, and all right, I have 400 that I can use.
Going
So-
to E6.
Exactly.
They're in there
And they're right
somewhere,
there. And I'm
flipping
like,
through
good.
the book. Yeah.
Or, the funny thing is, some of the guys will reach out and say, hey, I'm right in the middle of the build for the show. I'm missing this. And, all right, let me go look. And I go into the book. I'm like, oh, there it is. All right, no, I don't have it in purple. Sorry, So, yeah.
It's a very good categorization of something that I never even would have thought of. I mean, I'm like, my I'm nowhere on that level. I know some people are, but that is always, some people are like, no, it's color first. No, it's part first. So I was curious.
The older you get, at least for me. The older I get, it's like, hey, we can all share. If you want to do by color, great. If I want to do by piece or what, great. There's no one right way. Whatever works for each individual so that they can build the way they want to build, hats off to you.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. And that's really what it comes down to. If you can find your stuff, because some people
you're doing better than most.
Some people can live in mess and be like, oh yeah, it's under that over there between these two pieces.
Yeah.
Somebody like you, like, no, I need my book.
Yeah.
I need organization. Everybody does something a little bit different. So.
Oh yeah, and it works.
Yeah, absolutely. So you had mentioned first set 1976, right?
Correct.
A lot of Lego between now and then.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you're going to have a nostalgia factor.
Yep.
Everybody always does.
Oh yeah.
It seems to be classic space, castle,
Oh, yeah.
pirate. A lot of the stuff you usually hear. Is there a theme that you're like, you know what, this is my solid number one because A, B, and C? What would be your, or if you have a specific set in mind, you're like, you know what, this one because.
I don't have a really specific theme necessarily. For the train club, I do a lot of obviously town, village, whatever you want to call it, and I do some military, especially like World War II era military stuff. But there's other times where I just all of a sudden I find myself buying a slew of Star Wars stuff, or the classic pirates. I love I love Errol Flynn and the old swashbuckling, movies and, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, especially when I come here, you're looking around going, oh, I really always wanted to do that, and it's as diverse as, like I said, pirates, military, town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. So I like to, one of the things we're different with NILTC, there's a lot of train clubs that are like, no, you have to build town, village, city.
Okay.
NILTC, basically we tell you, hey, we need the train tracks here. The rest of the space is yours. If you want to do Overwatch, if you want to do Village, if you want to do Star Wars, and we've had people do Harry Potter, Star Wars, just the whole gamut of things. I mean, our one member, Matt, has his Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood mock over there.
Sure.
He had Toy Story, Andy's room, So I mean, we figure that the member is going to have the best amount of creativity doing what they want.
Yeah.
So we kind of use the train to actually tie it all together. There's plenty of villages and everything else, but hey, it all works. So, but so I mean, we kind of like having that open kind of concept so people can create whatever they want.
Well, and everybody has their different. Like you said, somebody wants to do static. Somebody wants to do a giant theme park. Somebody wants to do a farm, like I said, that's in front of us. And there's a way to make it fit. Like you said, just stay out of the way of the train tracks and everything else is good. So that's really cool. Well, Jamie, I appreciate you coming on and people
sharing.
Hopefully will, sharing, telling your story a little bit. Hopefully see you at some shows in the future. I don't know where we'll be at as a show. This is the first live show because the world died a year ago. We're back to a semi-normal, at least in Texas we're back to normal. But I appreciate you taking a moment to discuss, and hopefully people will find you and come out of their dark age and be like, you know what, I'm ready. I'm ready to be part of the group again.
The insanity that is Lego.
the expensive hobby that never stops.
Well, everybody says that, but name a hobby that isn't expensive. I mean, really.
That is true.
I mean,
that is true.
And people are like, "Oh no, I'm into knitting," and I'm like, "Oh, that's not expensive." They're like, "Have you bought yarn lately?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't." And they're like, they start showing me, and it's like, I spent $5,000 on yarn last year. I'm like, okay, that's an expensive hobby,
Okay, I can justify that with my plastic.
Exactly.
We're good. So.
My problem is that I have too many hobbies and they're all expensive.
See, you're like, I've only got so much for this, but budget for this hobby, modular, not pieces, modular pieces.
Yeah. Do I buy something for the Harley? No. Do I? I need new drum heads for the drum set. Or oh god, yeah. I just need to win lotto and, just
then call it a day.
More time against my hobbies. I like it. So, well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Hopefully everybody will come out to the show. Hopefully everybody enjoyed, and
Yeah, hopefully, this will just be the beginning of, like I said, more shows that are popping up. Hopefully
Yeah.
Brick World will be back next year. I was sad that it wasn't this year. I was looking forward to having an opportunity to go there, but I know they just announced there's one up in Washington. The Wallug up there is doing their own thing, so coming sometime at the end of the year. But, well, Jamie, that'll do it for me. But
sounds like a plan. I got to get back to the lug over there. It looks like they need help. So.
Yeah, it's becoming increasingly crowded.
Exactly.
Around a specific part of your table. Maybe some trains died or whatever. So, well, thanks again, Jamie.
Hey, really appreciate it.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in a minute. I'm still trying to find the event organizer in this sea of people because it's almost impossible to hear a phone in here. You guys can hear on the background. It is super duper loud in here with just endless people oohing and ahhing and just walking around having chit chat and talking to the different designers and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll find him here in a minute. right, guys, we are back for this last segment. We've got about 25 minutes left in this live show before we come on later this afternoon. We're going to take about an hour break in between. But I'm joined. I could not find Nate. Nate is missing somewhere. He's MIA at the moment. But I am joined by another gentleman here who is from another lug that I've been staring at this display the entire morning. Like, oh my God, this is massive. So, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Matt.
And who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
Brian Bonahum.
From?
I came here from Indiana. I'm a member of Indy Lug, Fort Lug, and Virtual Lug. And I've been building for quite a while, and I also happen to be the crazy guy that started the Brick World shows.
The crazy guy that started the massive Brick World shows. So, as I said, your show stuff over here is huge. I mean, you've got a bunch of tables. You've got a giant farm that is over here amongst some other things that are going on. So tell me a little bit about what is going on over here.
All right. Well, thank you. First, thank you, because I love doing the display. It's all about making the public happy, and as long as I see people smiling around it, I'm good. But what we got is you've got your typical Indiana farm that's a corn and soybean farm that's been invaded by dinosaurs. So it is Jurassic Farm.
It sounds like something from Fortnite, something bizarre out of the world. But so you've got a checklist over there, a seek and find of Jurassic stuff on your invaded Jurassic Farm.
Yeah, it's that helps. You know, I've always told people, having run these shows for a long time, I always tell people, you want to engage the public. That's going to make them happy. That's going to keep them coming back. And a seek and find is an easy way to do that, right? Kids want to spend more time at every single display looking for stuff. And while they're there, people do notice more details and have a better appreciation for the build because they spent more time looking at it instead of walking by going, oh, cool castle, or
right.
Oh, it's a farm. You know, so it's the kind of thing you do to engage people while they're actually looking at your display.
I've noticed that in a bunch of different builds around here where they have the checklist to go find, whether it be, like you said, with dinosaurs or weird stuff like that, or, you know, Princess Elsa in Star Wars escape down on the other end.
Exactly.
So, dimension-wise, about how big is this thing?
The farm itself is 6 feet by 15 feet.
It's huge.
It's
and
not little.
It's not little, and you're the only one that's here that managed to bring this thing in.
Well, it's my farm.
Right.
I didn't just bring it in. I built it. Yeah.
Right. So I'm saying you brought this thing in after it's already built.
Yep.
Is
it
built?
Fills a trailer.
It fills a trailer, I'm sure. So is it done kind of like in a modular style, like some of the others?
Absolutely. Yeah. The most of it takes me about 4 hours uninterrupted to set it up from box to fully on the table. There are a few things you have to take down and then put back up each time that aren't modular, like the telephone wires that run down the road, and
sure.
And all the water. Obviously, I don't leave all the loose pieces floating around in the box. I bag all that back up. And
do you use a vacuum?
No, I do not. No, okay. Actually, we dump it out on the table, and we just tip it over, dump it on the table, and scrape it into a bucket. So just as easy. Sometimes you can sort the flies out that way.
That helps too.
Yeah.
I haven't ever run into too many in here yet today. I was bothered by one before, but not at the moment.
Try doing a show at a fairgrounds the week after they had their state fair. Plenty of flies.
Yeah, I'm sure. So what gave you the idea to kind of Jurassicize your farm?
That's actually a funny question. So I had the farm, the first time I displayed this farm was at Brick World Fort Wayne in October of 2019, so right before the pandemic. And I had brought the Triceratops along to trade somebody to get apples for the apple trees.
Okay.
And that person showed up without the apples, so I didn't trade in the Triceratops. I went to a vendor and I bought the apples. Well, it was setup day, and I just threw the Triceratops down on the display and forgot about it.
Okay.
And public hours rolled around, and all the kids got really excited. Oh, look, there's a dinosaur on the display. And I was like, I'm going to have to embrace this.
Yeah.
And so over the pandemic, I took out the wheat field, and now that's a volcano and archaeological dig in the one corner of the display, and added some, actually, I did some of the adding Saturday night at that show. I was like, I went on to the vendors, what dinosaurs can I buy? And bought some dinosaurs, put the velociraptors in the corn. and things like that. So just embraced it, and I didn't want to overpower the farm with dinosaur stuff because it's still meant to be a farm.
Right.
So
Right.
It's got some, and it integrates, I think, fairly well. And one of the things I actually did for this show, I used to have the T-Rex attacking the pen of all the puppies that are out there on the farm. And all the moms were upset.
I'm sure
with me.
they were.
Oh, they're eating the poor puppies. And so the T-Rex is now over getting fed a T-bone steak by one
Okay.
of the girls, and the Triceratops used to be chasing the guy that's now riding the Triceratops. So it's a kinder, gentler Jurassic farm at this
Okay.
show.
That makes sense. That's always a good thing. No crying children. The puppies are dying. So I'm looking at some of your builds on here. You've got a few silos, some barns. You've got some farm equipment in here. Obviously, this is not anything that Lego has put out with a manual. This is all mock stuff. So what kind of gave you the idea to, because the farm is, I mean, it would look like something if you're driving down a road, you're going to see this exact stuff. So what kind of gave you that idea to really put this all together?
Well, the farm was originally commissioned by the Indiana State Fair back in 2015. And when it was built for the State Fair, it was flat, where now it's got undulations and some elevation
Okay.
to it. It was flat, and so the Indiana State Fair wanted it to look like a real Indiana farm, and so that's what got built. And looking at existing real life world tractors, there's a John Deere replica out there for a big 8-wheel tractor and combine and so on. That are different brands. We did them different so that we didn't get centric around one brand of
Sure.
equipment and upset somebody. And so that was all done to look realistic for the State Fair. And then a couple of years ago, the State Fair had pretty much trashed what they had. I mean, when I got it back from the State Fair,
It was just shambles.
I literally sat at the driveway and hosed it off with a hose.
Oh, geez.
It was so gross.
Ugh.
And then I tore it all down and rebuilt it. And,
Sure.
And a lot of it. I kept some of the equipment after I cleaned it all up, but a lot of it's been just totally redone in the last couple of years, and it's an ever-changing thing. I will not be making it larger,
Okay.
because larger would then not fit in the trailer.
Okay.
But I will keep changing stuff and making it hopefully better.
So you talk about changing things, making it better. Obviously, Lego's always coming out with new pieces, different elements that are out in sets or that you can buy in lug bulk and stuff like that. So is that something where you come across something you're like, ooh, I have an idea for this piece, and maybe like I'm looking at your John Deere tractor in there. Is that something where you're like, you know what, I can implement this really well. I'm going to do this instead?
Well, it's funny you mention that, because the cornfield was originally done with the little three stem Lego flower stem grass,
Yes.
which have very, we'll call it limited clutch power on a base
Limited,
plate.
yes.
And so that was constantly falling over, and just if you blew on it wrong, the cornfield fell apart. And that was one of the things that I actually focused on when I got it back, is I completely built a new cornfield because new pieces were available. I used just some standard green cones
Okay.
into the new green stems that have pins in them instead of the stud connection.
Yes.
And then I used, I believe it was, it's a minifigure crown that came maybe out of Elves or Friends.
Interesting.
As the top tassel on the cord. And so I
Okay.
completely threw out, I didn't throw it out. I mean, obviously I
Right,
didn't throw
right,
out
right,
Lego.
yeah.
Right? It's in a box at home, all the old grass. So if anyone needs some grass, let me know. I've
Right.
got about 30,000 pieces sitting there unused. But the new corn, because the new pieces, the crown and that stem, weren't available when we originally put together the
Cornfield.
field.
Yeah, sure.
And this stuff stays together so much better. Literally, the cornfield comes off. I stack the base plates in a box with the corn on it. There's probably 2,200 corn stalks out there.
Okay.
And when I got to Nebraska after a 10-hour drive, I pulled those out of the box, and there were maybe 5 pieces that had fallen off.
That's impressive.
And I knocked off about 10 more just trying to get it out and set it up. So, it's,
that is pretty impressive.
yeah, I was very happy with that result.
So you've got your archaeological dig there to go with the farm. You said you took out the wheat field. Obviously, you're embracing the dinosaur thing. What made you decide to, you know what, I'm just going to do a volcano versus like just a dusty Badlands type archaeological dig?
having seen Jurassic World probably around, just within a year or two of when
Sure.
this came up. Of course, there's a volcano on that. And volcano just makes sense because that's, what killed off the dinosaurs, right? In
Right.
theory or whatever. I don't know. Asteroid, whatever. There
You're
were volcanoes
an official
back then.
scientist,
That's
archaeologist
right.
now.
Clearly, I know what I'm talking about. But one of the things that struck me most about doing the volcano is it gave me an opportunity to take, instead of having the 4 or 5 brick tall, solid, squared off edge around the end of the display there,
Okay.
I got to melt the edge off and fade it into plates that go beyond what the rectangle of the farm is.
Sure.
So it gives it kind of a, it's coming apart look at the corner. And I really, that concept had been in my head, and I finally found an option to use it.
You just did it. So it's a massive. I'm partial to the Lego City. I guess maybe it was town at that time. I don't know. Farm stuff that came out. I don't know. A decade and a half ago, whatever. How many pieces is your farm? Your build? If you were going to estimate, because obviously you've probably not gone through and
No,
1, 2, 3.
I mean, it's around 120, 130,000 pieces on the
Wow.
table. You start looking at it alone. The cornfield itself is like 12,000 pieces just to make the corn.
Okay.
The roof on the house is all 1x1. The rounded over new 1x1 piece.
Okay.
So there's probably 2,000 or 3,000 of those just to make the roof on the house. It starts to add up quick when you're using small pieces.
So for all the technique nerds that listen to the show, how did you manage to get the round profile of your silos? Because I was looking at those earlier, and they are, I see you have tiles on the outside, but how did you get the round profile?
Well, actually, it's not tiles. That's actually all just brick built.
Oh, it's brick built. See?
It's something we came up with. So back in the day, in 2010, I worked with John Brost, Steve Hassenplug, and we built this thing called Monster Chess and then Super Robo Rally out of Lego.
All right.
And they were NXT powered robots that were about 8 or 9 inches square at the base, and then they had familiar characters on them. And one of the things I had to do was design R2D2 and the android, which are
okay.
round.
Okay.
And we came up with a technique with using Technic, where you basically have a core and then axles coming off at different rotational angles. And then if you look close at the silos, there are
You can see the axles
The 1x2 Technic bricks with the axle hole in them that are stuck on the axles. So it's nice when you pick those silos up; they don't crush and lose their round shape. They stay nice and round when you pick them up, put them in the box.
Okay. It's funny you mentioned the 1x2 Technic brick because I just got done having an interview with the Lego Masters, 2 of the Lego Masters contestants, Susan and Jen, that were. Sorry if I'm spoiling it for you.
It just got knocked off this
It just
last
got
week.
knocked
Yeah,
off the show.
No, I saw it.
And the funny thing is, I asked her, what is your favorite piece? And she had said that it was something else, but now it is the 1x2 Technic brick with the axle pin hole in it because there's endless things that you can do with it, from rigidity to creation and stuff like that. So it's very interesting that you did that because I've seen cylindrical type things before, and they usually don't come out as great as that looks over there. So that's really impressive. Really cool idea for somebody that's trying to undertake something like that.
Well, I had some help with that technique. I'll admit it. John Brost definitely had some influence here. Several of us that are robotics builders have built together for years and years. So there's a lot we've picked off of each other as we've gone.
Well, the funny thing is, you mentioned that collaboration is important. I mean, whether you're a solo builder, whether you're part of a giant lug or small lug or whatever, or just a group in general, it's always important to collaborate because you guys always come out with these ideas. I mean, like you said, give credit where credit is due for something.
And I totally have enjoyed Jurassic Farm being mine, but you're right on target. Part of the thing that draws me to the hobby is the collaborating.
Yeah.
One of the big displays we do in the Indie Lug group is we do an M-Tron display.
Okay.
And there's probably 11 or 12 guys involved in it every year. People, there's some girls too,
right.
involved in it every year.
Humans.
Yeah, humans. They're involved every year, and we'll just, and it's one of these things where everyone's kind of got different modules and stuff, but it's not a planned out thing. We take over our island of tables, which is usually about 64 feet long and 7.5 feet wide, and we just start by covering the table with base plates. because we want a gray bottom on everything. And then base basically pulled out and replaced with stuff that has builds on it as we go. And then we have a big backdrop made that's Lego built that goes behind it all. And then we have a drop table and things like that. And people just start putting their stuff where it looks good.
Sure.
So every show, it's a different display. And it's painful to set up just because it takes a lot of time. And you're putting out 500 minifigures and all that. But it's fun because it's different every time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with that in mind, I mean, you said this build that we're sitting right across from, I'm like fangirling over, because it's two of my favorite things, like farm, which is city town umbrella, and then Jurassic stuff. What other builds have you been working on or would like to work on to take to shows in the future, other than, I mean, obviously you talked about the M-Tron stuff, but maybe something specifically yourself?
Well, I have a new GBC module, again, another collaboration, but you do your individual modules.
Yeah.
That debuted here at this show. It's a bulldozer module, so the kids get to drive the bulldozer and push the balls through to the next module. So it's run by Powered Up. We've learned some stuff again, working with everybody over the years running GBCs. You learn what works, what doesn't work, what needs to be improved about certain things. And Bill Bourne, who passed away probably 10 years ago now, had built a dozer module similar.
Okay.
And over the years, we still have it. His wife donated it to us to use as GBCs, which is really cool. And we still use it at the shows, but we've noted its shortcomings as we've gone over time. And
sure.
I tried to address those kind of shortcomings in my module. One of the most chief ones being, it didn't have a bypass mode. So if no one's driving the tractor, the balls just drop into it, and then you have to sit there and keep scraping them through with your hand. And so I have a bridge that drops down on mine that if no one's going to run the tractor, you drop the bridge and it just rolls on through, and
sure.
it doesn't stop the flow of the GBC.
Yeah.
But other stuff I'm working on, I've got the U.S. flag that's behind me down here.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. Yeah.
And I did, since I was coming to what I thought was Brick Days, Nebraska. Apparently, I'm in Iowa.
We are technically across the river.
Good.
Yeah, it's built Nebraska Brick Days, but
for Nate, who I'm sitting in for right now, I built a Nebraska logo because he's a big Nebraska fan, and that puts me up to having 3 of the Big Ten logos built as mosaics. Okay. And so I think I'm kind of committing myself at this point to go ahead and build out the other
the rest.
The other 13 of them, and have the entire conference as mosaics. So I think that'll be fun. That's probably something I'll work on over the next couple months.
Well, I mean, why not, right?
Right.
You started it, you have to finish. There has to be an end point.
It's funny. Again, running shows for as long as I have, I've learned I get more of a charge out of the public being excited about my display than the AFOLs giving me awards.
Right.
I'm trying to do stuff that's going to excite the public.
Right.
Big Ten logos, they aren't going to be technically challenging in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
But the public will go, oh, look, it's the entire Big Ten.
Right.
How cool is that?
Right.
So,
or you show up in Nebraska or Iowa with it, and people are, taking a picture in front of it, taking selfies in front of it.
Exactly. Well, and to that point, I have behind the table here for Nate to use, I have all the TV network logos built. So if a TV network shows up, he's having one of those logos out right on the front center table. And they're like, oh, look, they built our logo for us.
They built it.
Yes, they did. We did that 10 years ago, and we still have it.
Just for you guys. Just for you guys, right?
So it's like I say, I feel like I have a different perspective on a lot of things because I've been about getting the public involved for so long.
Well, and you bring up that point about getting the public involved. Yes, adults are coming to this. As I've talked to a few others today, adults are coming to this, but at day's end, kids are the ones that are really super excited about it. They're looking at this, and not that adults aren't creative. Kids multiply that times 100.
Oh, absolutely.
The way their brain works and stuff like that. And maybe you inspire some child to go home and pull out their bin of just random bricks, and they're just going to start creating. And you never know. I mean, 20 years down the road, they could end up at a show like this, award or not an award, but you continue that trend, so it's something really cool.
Yeah, one of the things I've learned inspires the kids a lot is if they show up at like a big train layout, and there's just a few sets on there that are actual Lego sets that they might have.
Sure.
Oh, I have that set. Look what we could do with that, and And the inspiration has been proven out over the years because we've been under the table told by various Lego stores in the cities we go to that their sales go up between 3 and 5 times normal the weekend of a show. So
It would not shock me.
It gets crazy.
You swing by the Lego store and stuff like that on the way, or on the way out of town, or
Exactly.
I mean, if you're living in town, you're Mom, I want to go here. Dad, I want to go here. So that is really cool. Well, tell me a little bit about your lug before we have to close out the show. We've got about 6 minutes left. So tell me a little bit about the lug, where people can find you.
IndyLug.org, and I also maintain the website for that, and I've been told it's down this weekend, and I'm not home to fix it, so don't go there right now, unless someone else fixed it that I don't know about. But IndyLug.org is our website, and we actually will accept members that are not in Indiana.
Sure.
You just have to meet the minimum requirements to be an official member and all that, which is attending meetings and attending
Naturally,
shows with us.
You'd better show.
But
right?
as a club, we have several different collaborations. We have a city-town collaboration. We have the M-Tron collaboration. We do a lot of GBC within our club.
Really?
So GBC started in Indiana back in 2005.
I did not know that.
The original spec was written mainly by Steve Hassenplug, myself, John Brost, Brian Davis, and we're all four in Indiana. And then Tom Atkinson and John Barnes had a hand in that. I believe Brian Alano. But the original spec, the first publicly displayed GBC was in the West Lafayette, Indiana Public Library. And it was a train wreck.
But that's how it usually starts, isn't it?
But yeah, so we have a core of GBC in Indiana, and it's fun. I mean, we'll put up at Brickworld Chicago with everybody coming, and we do workshop modules. That we've got a world record right now, somewhere north of 400 modules in a loop.
Oh wow!
In Chicago, but in Indianapolis every year we'll put up about 150 modules, and here we probably have 40 modules around the loop. So. It's significantly larger because there's more people involved over there.
That's, different size shows for different folks and stuff. But
yeah, it's about the club wanting to be part of GBC. And the Lola guys are actually starting to embrace the GBC and run with it. They've realized through running Brick Days that GBC is very popular with the public.
Yes, it is.
And that's part of the reason we came up with the GBC is at the time we came up with it in 2005, if you went to a Lego show like Brickfest on the East Coast, the old Brickfest, the only thing at the entire show that moved were the trains.
Okay.
There was no movement. I mean, there just wasn't. People didn't, wasn't, maybe occasional bird flying around or something. But we went for GBC as something that would move and make noise and get people excited. And it worked.
It definitely did. I saw a few over there, and I have a few people that are in the lug that I'm a part of that do GBC. I just stare and all. I'm here to have the chats and stuff like that, but I'm like, whoa, that is super crazy.
Well, Lego is majorly about artists,
yes.
Right? The GBC is more about engineering.
Yes,
and so
so
it allows a different mind element of people to be fully embracing the Lego stuff because Lego is certainly an engineering tool.
Right.
Of some sort, and so to do the GBC stuff really lets the engineers let loose.
Well, they do a really good job, but yeah, really cool stuff. Brian, I really appreciate you coming on and having a chat with me about your model here. Those of you that are curious, you guys can find him where he had mentioned. I'm got some pictures already of the model that'll be going up on social media, so you guys can check out and see what he's talking about and. Ogle like I did, like a 5-year-old child standing at the plexiglass. But, well, Brian, before I let you go, last thing. Favorite Lego set or theme aside from the very first time you built a Lego set the whole way up until present day?
So I'm not a big set guy.
No?
I am a builder of mocks, and so I have a few sets that I have built, and I do like. It's hard to pick the favorite one, but I think the favorite one is one I have yet to build because I just haven't gotten to it.
Sure.
But I've got the set, is the Lunar Lander.
Okay. I'm
very excited about getting a time where nothing's eating my shorts that I can sit down and relax and just build that set. Because I'm a big space nut.
Sure.
So, I'm thrilled that we're starting to get to where we're going back into space, and we're sending the billionaires into space, and I'm just wondering when they're going to stay there. But that's a different story. But it's neat to see the space race going on between Americans instead of America and other countries.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat.
It is very bizarre, to say the least.
We've been enjoying these rocket launches lately, and I look forward to whatever they come up with next. And I like the fact that Lego has been embracing a lot of space stuff lately, and that's cool too. And I'm not saying I'm like into classic space. Don't.
Right.
I don't want space heads or train heads to get mad at me because I'm not. I'm yeah. But if I had to say my favorite Lego box, it had to be the NXT 2.0 box. That's because my picture's on it. But maybe I'm selfish that way. I don't know. My picture is about the size of a pencil eraser, but it's on the box.
So smaller than a minifig head. Jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Some respect there. Well, Brian, thanks for coming on the show. And you guys go check out the Indie Lug, and hopefully we'll see you at another show in the future, Brian.
Yes, sir. All right. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. All right, guys, we are going to be taking a break. We'll be back here in 1:30 Central Time, 2:30 Eastern Time for the last block of live shows today. And we will find Nate before the day is over. We will find him and yank him over here if I have to tie him to the chair myself. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you in about an hour.